This show is brought to you by the All Pro Nation Radio Network. Be sure to like and subscribe and check us out online at allpronation.com, where fans have a voice.
What is up, everybody? You are tuned in to the All Pro Nation podcast right here on the All Pro Nation Radio Network. I'm your host, Chris Smith, joined as always by my buddy Tanner Weber. Tanner, how you doing, man?
Doing good, man. Enjoying my last few weeks here in South Dakota before the big move.
Getting ready to move. Gonna make that culture shock from South Dakota to Phoenix, Arizona. Ugh. Or Scottsdale. You're going to Scottsdale, aren't you?
Oh, yeah. It's a suburb of Phoenix.
I'm going to go ahead and apologize to everybody now. The Louisiana pollen has got me good, and I'm sick as crap right now. So I'm not going to apologize if you hear me put the mic down and go off and blow my nose. So I'm not going to take the time to go through and edit every time I do that. So just forewarning.
Bear with us.
And we're a day late this week. Oh my God. Tanner had to go see the Avengers Tuesday night with his boss.
Oh, boss equals wife.
Oh yeah. I was not aware of that when I made a joke about his boss.
It was like the best worst movie I've ever seen in my life.
Oh, I thought it was amazing.
Dude, it was terrific, but the ending was just, we're not going to spoil it or anything for anybody that hasn't seen it yet, but I was just very upset. Yeah. I got to wait like another 2 years before the next one comes out?
Yeah, something like that.
Oh, it's going to be horrible. Long wait.
It's like Star Wars, man. I said something the other day. I said, man, I can't wait for December for Star Wars to come out. To which I was quickly informed that it just came out this December, so I have another December to go. Oh, God.
Another year.
So anyway, apparently they had this big thing happen last week, and I don't know if you heard about it. Something about the NFL draft. Is that a thing?
It's a huge thing. You must have not watched.
No, unfortunate. No, I'm not going to say unfortunately. I did watch the All Pro Nation Draft Guru was not available to do live Twitter updates, so I was in charge of live Twitter updates.
You did a wonderful job.
So yes, I did watch every freaking second of it.
Not the third day though.
No,
that's when it gets boring though.
What's that?
That's when it gets boring, though.
Yeah, I know. I did have to work on Sunday, or Saturday, so I missed it. But
I'm sure the draft loses it's got to be 80% of their audience on the third day.
Oh, I'm sure.
Maybe more actually. I
am sure. So this show we are going to break down the draft, give some quick recaps. Next week, though, you're going to definitely want to tune in as it ain't confirmed yet, but we're going to try to get somebody who covers the draft to come in and really give us some good analysis. So hopefully that happens. If not, we'll do something else. But that's kind of our plan. So, all right. Well, let's get started. And as the All Pro Nation draft guru, why don't you go ahead and kind of give your thoughts on it?
On the draft?
Yeah.
I thought that the first night was pretty accurate. I don't think anything really surprised us until the Seahawks were on the board at 27, I think. Was that when they picked? Yeah, because they traded back, didn't they?
Yeah.
The Seahawks picked the running back, Rashad Penny, out of San Diego State, and I just thought that was really, really early for him. I don't think I was the only one. And then immediately after that, the Steelers were on the clock, and then they picked a safety, Terrell Edmonds, out of Virginia Tech. Now, don't get me wrong. I mean, those Terrell Edmonds and Rashad Penny are good players, but I don't think that they were worth first-round picks. Not by far. The second day was a lot of fun. I was kind of sad that my Vikings traded out of the third round because I'm more about having high-quality picks instead of having, 10 really bad picks. Quality over quantity. And then the third day, as always, like we talked about, the audience kind of drops off. It gets boring. A lot of players that get picked that day aren't names that a lot of people have heard of. But the funnest part of day 3 was definitely the Shaquem Griffin pick that the Seahawks had to pair him up with his brother, Shaquille Griffin. For those that don't know, they're twin brothers that signed with Central Florida out of high school. And Shaquille was actually getting a lot of offers, but his brother Shaquem wasn't getting as many offers because of his defect that he had with his hand. And Shaquille basically said that, I'm not going anywhere that my brother's not going to. And Central Florida gave both of them scholarship offers, and they played together at Central Florida, had great careers, and now they're playing together in the NFL. It's just a really cool story.
When you say defect on his hand, you mean not having a freaking hand?
If that's what you want to call it.
I mean, that's what it is.
He doesn't have a hand. Yeah.
All right.
He can still catch though. He can still catch.
Yeah.
Incredible.
He's fast as crap. All right. So let's do something fun. We're going to do our winners and losers of the draft.
Did you get a chance to look at that at all?
What's that?
Did you get a chance to pick up some winners and losers, or is this just all me?
No, I did. I picked some winners and losers.
Right.
But I definitely think I went a different route than you did. So this is going to be fun. All right. So who is your first winner?
I have to pick a clear-cut winner of the draft.
No, I don't think it don't have to be clear.
I have a couple teams here. I have 4 or 5 teams that I thought did terrific.
Yeah, that's fine. Whoever, this doesn't have to be your number one overall winner of the draft.
Okay,
who do you want to discuss first?
I'm going to start with the Bengals.
Okay.
I thought the Bengals had a terrific draft. Starting with Billy Price, the center out of Ohio State. They're keeping him in town. I know he had that triceps injury that a lot of teams thought might knock him down the boards, but the Bengals picked him up in the first round, and I thought that was a really good signing. They don't currently have a center, and their center last year, TJ Johnson, was one of the worst in the league. Or Russell Bodine, I'm sorry, not TJ Johnson. That's their backup right now. But that's an element of their offense that they're missing up front very badly, is some nastiness. And the Cordy Glenn signing was huge this offseason too, so I think they're going to have a 180 turnaround. Another pick that I really liked was their second-round pick, Jesse Bates, out of Wake Forest. He's a true free safety that can go back there at Georgia Iloka, and I think that'll improve their secondary a lot. And then they had back-to-back picks in the third round, defensive end Sam Hubbard out of Ohio State. That's an excellent depth piece. And then right after that, they had the linebacker Malik Jefferson out of Texas. And they had some really good day 3 value picks. The running back out of Miami, Mark Walton, the corner, Devontae Harris, and I also like the quarterback, Logan Woodside out of Toledo. A lot of people might not like him, but I think he's pretty good.
All right.
That's my first team.
My first winner of the 2018 NFL Draft is going to be the Edmonds family.
Oh, so it's not a team.
I told you I went completely different than you. I knew I was going to do this.
Hey, that's fine with me. I like mixing it up.
So the Edmonds family, the patriarch of the Edmonds family, Pharrell Edmonds, he was a tight end in the late 80s, early 90s for both Seattle and the Miami Dolphins. My fellow Hoodats will know that their oldest son, Trey Edmonds, plays for the New Orleans Saints. And this year, Terrell and Tremaine both were selected in the first round of the NFL Draft. The first time a set of brothers has ever been drafted in the first round of the same draft. So kudos to the Edmonds family. This is kind of like a football dynasty that nobody talks about.
Yeah, for sure.
Now, a lot of people will say that that the Steelers kind of reached for Terrell, and you know what? I don't really think they did. I think that I think that Terrell was probably, if I looked at all the safeties, probably my third favorite safety in this draft. Uh, and we saw Minka Fitzpatrick
Derwin.
and Derwin James get selected, and so I mean at the time he was the best available safety, which was a big position of need for him.
Wrong.
Who else was on the board?
I am pissed that Justin Reed did not get picked in the first round.
Oh no.
Yes,
I don't think he.
Stanford.
I don't think he was better than Terrell, Minka, or Derwin James.
He's much more versatile.
What's that?
He's much more versatile, and he doesn't have many weaknesses to his game. I think the Texans got a damn steal. They're going to be one of the best tandems in the league next year. Justin Reed and Tyrann Mathieu.
We'll see.
Book that now.
But I thought the Pittsburgh Steelers got a good pick. A lot of people think they stretched. I personally don't think they did. I mean, if you watch this dude Terrell play on film, I mean he moves around the field. He just seems like he's everywhere. I think it was a good pick. So kudos to the Edmonds family. Three of their children in the NFL. With their father being a 2-time Pro Bowler in the NFL in the 80s and 90s.
Yeah, that's a cool story.
All right, next winner. Who you got?
My next winner, Chicago Bears. I think they got the second best defensive player in the draft to fall to them at number 8 in Roquan Smith. That's a centerpiece of their defense that they're going to be able to build upon for years with Danny Trevathan. They just added some fire to an already excellent unit that they had from last year. In the second round, I had a first-round grade. Actually, he was like one of my top players. James Daniels, the offensive lineman out of Iowa. Yeah. I think they stole him in the second round. And with the departure of who's the guard that they lost? I'm drawing a blank right now. He went to Miami. Josh Sitton. Yeah, with the departure of Josh Sitton, that was a spot that they had to obviously address. So I like him. I think they're talking about moving him to left guard. So that's a good interior, I think. James Daniels, Cody Whitehair, and Kyle Long.
Yeah. And
then after that pick, they got another steal with Anthony Miller, the wide receiver out of Memphis. So that's I think they have a really good wide receiver unit set in place. Mitchell Trubisky finally, if he doesn't succeed this year, I think there could be a warning sign unless something happens with health concerns. But, I mean, he's got Jordan Howard, Tariq Cohen in the backfield. I think he's got a pretty decent offensive line. He's got Allen Robertson. They signed Trey Burton in free agency. They went and got Anthony Miller in the draft and Taylor Gabriel and Kevin White. I think Kevin White can be a good player. He's just never been able to stay on the field.
Yeah.
So I really like what the Bears did in the first 2 days of the draft.
All right. My next winner of the draft is going to be former executives of the New England Patriots turned general managers of new teams, and I'm talking specifically to Bob Quinn, general manager of the Detroit Lions, and John Robinson, general manager of the Tennessee Titans. Two teams that I think knocked it out of the park in this draft. And hold on, I've got a theory. All right. So here's my theory. We've been saying for years, why won't teams do what the Patriots do? Why won't the Patriots have clearly put this blueprint out there of how to be successful and how to win?
Hold up. Do we have any accurate numbers of how many times they traded back in this draft?
Who, the Patriots?
I bet they traded back 12 times.
I can look it up if you let me finish giving my theories out.
Absolutely nuts. Yeah, but yeah, go ahead. Finish your thing.
All right. So anyway, we've been saying this for years. Then we've seen coaches come out of the Bill Belichick tree. None of them really have been that successful. Honestly, Josh McDaniels' first year in Denver was a success, and I think outside of that, maybe Bill O'Brien's been the most successful outside of the Bill Belichick coaching tree, and that's saying something
Definitely.
because he hasn't really had that much success. Uh, so I started thinking about it as I watched this draft, and you may have noticed the Tennessee Titans traded up twice right in front of the New England Patriots and selected a player that the Patriots were probably going to take. Same thing with the Giants. They were taking players that you look at and you're like, man, that has a Bill Belichick player written all over it. And so I started thinking, what if these coaches that come out of New England, they aren't successful because, yeah, they know how Bill runs the team. They know how he runs a practice and things like that, but they don't know how he handles trades, how he drafts. They don't get to. They're not involved in a whole lot in the pre-draft and the actual draft activities. And so, but these executives for New England, they're the ones that are helping Bill. They're the ones that are scouting these players and helping Bill make these decisions. And so I started thinking, I said, well, wait, what if the general managers are going to turn out to be more successful than the coaches because they know what Bill is really thinking? Then I took it a step further and said, wait, these two who knocked their drafts out of the park not only have the general manager and the executive side of how the New England Patriots run, but they also have head coaches that come out of that. They know how Bill runs practice. They know how he runs the team. Could the Detroit Lions and the Tennessee Titans be getting ready to go on a Patriots-like run?
I hope not.
But it all makes sense, right?
Yeah, you're just a genius. You got that figured out, let me tell you.
I mean, seriously, it hit me when I saw the Titans trade up right in front of the Patriots twice. And I was
The
like,
Titans didn't have a lot of picks, but they had like 4 or 5 good quality picks.
yeah. And so,
Like players that could come in and contribute day one.
yeah, so I like both the Titans and the Lions drafts, and I'm giving all the credit to their two general managers who are former New England Patriots guys.
Okay.
All right, who's your next winner?
New York Giants. New York Football Giants. I thought Pat Shurmur had an impressive turnaround in the draft after not starting out his coaching tier. So I mean, his free agency was pretty poor.
Yeah.
But they got the best player in the draft at number 2, running back Saquon Barkley, can come in, help Eli Manning out day one, take a lot of load off of Odell Beckham. And then they gave him a good piece to block for him up front in the second round. They drafted Will Hernandez, the human bowling ball, to go along with Nate Solder and Patrick Omameh. And then they also got Lorenzo Carter, who's could be a good edge rusher day one for them, as a weak side linebacker with Olivier Vernon coming off the other side. Keep in mind that they are switching to a 3-4 defense this year.
Yeah.
And then I thought they got 3 steals with B.J. Hill, Kyle Laletta to be a possible Eli Manning replacement, and R.J. McIntosh out of Miami in the last day of the draft. So I thought they didn't have a lot of picks. They had 6 picks, but I think all of them are going to make the 53-man roster, and I think they can all come in and contribute some way in their first year.
Yeah.
So I
right.
like what they did.
My next winner, quarterback Sam Darnold.
I love Sam.
I think everybody pretty much agrees that come day one, Sam Darnold is probably the most pro ready. And I think because of that, we all thought he was going to the Cleveland Browns, but they decided to go up and get Baker Mayfield, who I like Baker. I don't think was worthy of the number 1 pick. I think Baker Mayfield would have been there at number 4 had they gone Saquon Barkley at number 1 or even Bradley Chubb. But that's neither here nor there.
I can't wait to talk about the Baker news. Did you hear about the Baker news?
I have not. So you're going to be breaking news to me?
You didn't hear about the Patriots Baker news?
No.
The Patriots, Bill Belichick, and the New England Patriots. This was something that came from Baker Mayfield's agent. I think it was Monday. Baker Mayfield's agent told the press that the Patriots called him and were trying to trade up to number 2 if he got past the Browns. They wanted to trade up to number 2 with the Giants, but Dave Gettleman would not budge on a trade.
Wow.
Baker as Tom Brady's replacement would have been awesome.
Yeah, that would have been insane. Anyways, so Sam Darnold. So pro ready. We thought he was going there. Browns shocked the world. Pick Baker Mayfield, and Sam Darnold falls to the number 3 spot, which was the New York Jets, which I think is probably one of the most favorable places for him. I think he's going to get good coaching there. I think that the New York Jets are ecstatic that they got him. He's going to a good organization, a team that I don't think is that far away from really competing.
No, not a chance.
What's that?
I agree.
Yeah,
I think they're going to be. I think once Tom Brady retires, that's going to be the New York Jets' division for a long time.
Yeah, so I don't think the Jets are that far off. They're really close. They got it. They would have probably gone Baker or Josh Allen at number 3, but they literally got probably the best one to get them going today. I think it was a win-win for all situations, and I'm picking Sam Darnold as my winner because he doesn't go to the graveyard that is quarterbacks in Cleveland.
Nailed it.
So, who's your next winner?
I have 2 more teams here, so bear with me.
Okay, knock them both out at the same time because I've got only one more winner.
All right, I will do that. I'll make it quick. The Denver Broncos. I don't think Bradley Chubb is necessarily the best fit because he's more of a 4-3 defensive end, but he slid past the Browns at number 4, and John Elway scooped him up. Which, I mean, I'm not going to complain about the pick. I think they had some other holes they could have filled, but I think Bradley Chubb and Von Miller are going to be one of the best pass rushing duos in the league for the next 5 years. Keep in mind they did decline Shane Ray's 5th-year option today. So he is going to be a free agent next year. They got Cortland Sutton in the 2nd round to go with Demaryius Thomas and Emmanuel Sanders. That's a really good triple threat wide receiver. And then Royce Freeman, the running back out of Oregon. I think he's going to be a really good fantasy back for a lot of teams, or for a lot of people this coming year. He's going to get a lot of touches in that offense. And then just looking at the rest of the picks that they had the corner Isaac Yiadom from Boston College, Josie Jewell, the linebacker out of Iowa, and wide receiver Deshaun Hamilton out of Penn State. Those are all really good value picks from where they selected at. So I really like what the Broncos did. I thought John Elway had another terrific draft.
Yeah.
Are you ready for my last winner?
Yes.
The Tampa Bay Bucks.
Oh, wow.
Bear with me here. I know a lot of people don't like Vita Vea, and they thought that was a reach from where he was picked at. But I think he's going to be a really good fit in their defense. Now look at this defensive line. You got Jason Pierre-Paul and Vinny Curry coming off the ends, and Gerald McCoy and the best run defender in the draft, and Vita Vea in the middle. It's going to be really hard to run on those guys next year.
Yeah. They
got their running back one in Ronald Jones. He's super fast. He can make one cuts. He's a home run threat every time he touches the ball. And they drafted the corner MJ Stewart out of North Carolina. He was one of my draft crushes. If anybody had a chance to go on allpronation.com and look at my big board and my top 10 prospects for each position, he was on there, and he was one of my 10 draft crushes, so I really like him. He's going to be their day one slot corner. They got Carlton Davis, the corner out of Auburn, and I think he's going to come in and take Brent Grimes' spot within the next 2 years as well. So I really like what the Bucs did, whether people agree with me or not. I think it's going to end up grading out as an A next year.
Okay. My final. I thought I had a sneeze.
Your final winner.
My final winner of the 2018 NFL Draft is going to none other than Mr. Ozzie Newsman. Quietly, the Ravens have probably the best draft of this whole weekend. And I think by the end of the year that it's not even going to be close. They're going to have the draft that the New Orleans Saints had last year. And what Newsom was able to do was he didn't only get the current roster like ready to go. He also started to prepare for the future and what's going to be his final draft of his career. I mean, you look at other teams, New England Patriots, New Orleans Saints, New York Giants, teams that have aging quarterbacks. They don't seem like they're doing anything to get ready to move past them. Newsom found the quarterback of the future and Lamar Jackson. So as soon as Flacco's ready to go, he has got a dynamic quarterback to step in. This is Newsom's career he's been with the Ravens for 27 years, helped bring 2 Super Bowl titles. He took this draft, made the current team better, made the future franchise better. He knocked it out the park. So Ozzie Newsome is my final winner of this weekend.
Yeah, I think the Ravens were tied with one other team for the most picks by a team in the draft. They had 12 selections in 7 rounds.
And I was reading that the Ravens were comfortable with taking Jackson at 16,
but thought that they could get him later.
But yeah, they made some phone calls. They realized that he would probably be there, and they could trade back up into the first round and get him later. And that's what they did, and they're better because of it. So I'm glad they didn't reach for Jackson at 16.
I'm going to throw you a question now.
Okay.
True or false? True or false? Joe Flacco is not a Baltimore Raven to begin the 2019 season.
True. This is last year.
I think so.
I do. They can get out.
They gave him a lot of money. It's time to move on.
They can get out of the contract this year. After this year, he hasn't really done much since the Super Bowl. And Joe Flacco has, he's not really a leader. I mean, you look at him when he throws like a bomb down the field, and it goes for a touchdown. It's the same look that he has on his face when he throws an interception that gets a pick six. He shows no. I mean, seriously, he shows no emotion. No emotions. He's not a very. I don't find that he's a very good leader. But the Ravens were always able to put up with that because he was able to chunk the ball. Like, dude has a strong arm. He can fling a football. But that's starting to dwindle. He's not. He doesn't really bring that much anymore. And it's almost like, well, what are you bringing us that somebody else can't? And I don't think that's anything. And so, yes, I think that once they can get out this contract at the end of the year, I think he is done. I don't think he's a Raven next year. And he's going to get paid. He's going to get picked up by some other – because there's going to be another quarterback-hungry team next year. So he's going to go somewhere else if he wants to.
Huh. Yeah, I mean, I don't think that the Ravens weren't one of my winning teams, but their first 4 picks were really good. I don't necessarily agree with having Hayden Hurst as the first tight end overall in the draft, but they got 2 top 5 tight ends, I think.
Yeah.
With Hayden Hurst and Mark Andrews, so they did a pretty good job.
Yeah. So, all right, losers of the draft.
Flip side.
Who you got?
All right, I got 3 teams. Here's my first one. The Oakland Raiders. Their first 3 picks. Okay, their second and third days were better than their first 3 picks. They drafted, I can't remember if it was 15 or 16, which pick they had because they moved back. But Colton Miller, the tackle out of UCLA, I think he's garbage personally. That's just my opinion. I thought there were at least 3 or 4 tackles that were better than him. And they picked him in the middle of the first round. So I thought that was a bad pick. They got P.J. Hall, who I think I had a 3rd or 4th round grade on him. They picked him in the 2nd round. And then the tackle Brandon Parker out of North Carolina A&T, that was a massive reach. This is just from my opinion. I mean, people can agree with me whether or not they want to, but I think I had like a late day 3 grade on him, and they took him in the second day of the draft. So, but they made up for it in the second and third day of the draft with Arden Key. I mean, that's a flip of the coin. However you want to read that pick. I mean, he could be a really good player, or he could be a massive bust because he's got off the field issues. And I mean, it is what it is. And then they took corner Nick Nelson out of Wisconsin. That's a good pick if he can keep that knee healthy. And they took Maurice Hurst, who dropped all the way to the end of it wasn't all the way to the end, but I think it was the 5th round is when they picked him up. He was the player that had the heart condition that doctors weren't sure whether or not he would be able to play in the NFL. I think he got the go a couple weeks before the draft, but it sounded like a lot of teams still took him off their boards entirely because they were concerned. So I like their day 3 better than their first day of the draft. That's my first loser, the Oakland Raiders.
All right, you ready for my first loser?
Josh Allen?
What's that?
Josh Allen?
No. My first loser is going to be none other than Mr. Monday Night Football, John Gruden.
Hey, we agreed.
I don't like the Colton Miller pick, at all. While getting your offensive line stronger is good, they have Amari Cooper and a 32-year-old Jordan Nelson. They have a 30.
Hey, they did make a trade though on draft day.
I know they got Martavis Bryant, which is a great pickup if he stays out of trouble.
Yeah, going to Oakland isn't ideal.
They also have a 33-year-old running back. So, let's see. They cut Marquette King. I don't see the direction of where John Gruden is going. When, like you said a minute ago, when you said that the New York Giants were one of your winners, it was like, okay, Pat Shurmur kind of had this weird free agency period. It wasn't really that good. You didn't really know what the plan was, but then he had like this killer draft, and you're like, okay, they're gonna be like a run the football and win by defense. They're not gonna ask Eli Manning to win a football game. Right. They're just gonna ask him to not be god awful, which is still asking a lot.
You're mean.
What is John Gruden's vision? I'm not seeing it.
See, I don't really understand it either. I mean, they draft offensive line. I mean, their offensive line's not that bad. They got Donald Penn, Kelechi Osemele, Rodney Hudson, Gabe Jackson. Those are all really good players. And they addressed offensive line with 2 of their first 3 picks when defense was the thing that was such an issue last year.
Yeah.
Like, who's your middle linebacker this year? You want me to read off the cornerback depth chart? Garyon Conley, Dexter McDonald, Rashawn Melvin, Nick Nelson, Sharice Wright, and they signed Leon Hall. But none of those guys are even considered like a top 30 corner.
Yeah.
So who's you going to stop next year? You're not going to stop anybody.
Yeah. So I don't know. I'm not a fan of what John Gruden did here, and that's all I have to say about that.
We agreed. We agreed that it was not a good draft for the Raiders.
All right, who's your next loser?
The Kansas City Chiefs.
Ooh.
Granted, they didn't have a first-round pick, but just looking at the players, they only picked 5 players. But when I look at the players and the value that they got at the current spot that they selected at, I don't think it was very good. Their first pick was that defensive end, Breland Speaks out of Ole Miss, and he's like he's athletic, and he could be a good player. But I don't like the value there. I thought he was a day 3 pick. Derek Nottie, the defensive tackle or D end out of Florida State, that was probably my favorite pick. But other than that, linebacker Dorian O'Daniel out of Clemson, who I think is kind of like strictly a special teams guy. The safety Armani Watts, Texas A&M, and the corner Tremont Smith. So I don't really feel like the Chiefs got better in the draft. And I do think that they do have some holes yet on their team on defense.
All right. My next loser of the draft, Jason Witten.
We don't even know what's going on with that yet, do we?
So Jason Witten, for those of you who don't know, decided to retire after the first round of the draft.
But it's not official.
It's not official. The Cowboys are trying to keep
entice him. Yeah.
So this is what I'm hearing, is that Monday Night Football came and has promised Witten about $5 million to go ahead and move up into the booth. Now, as you know, John Gruden held on to that spot for 10 years.
Was it 10 years?
Yeah.
Holy cow, that's a long time.
Mike Tirico held on it for, God, ever. You know? Mm-hmm. Chris Collinsworth and what's my boy's name? Al Michaels. You know, they've been on the Sunday Night Football for a while. I mean, these prime time commentary spots, they don't come available. That's why you saw someone like Keyshawn Johnson retire a little early, so he could get a media gig. You know, ESPN really wanted Greg Olsen, but he wasn't interested in coming out this year. They've got to replace their entire Monday Night Football crew. They approached Jason Witten, and hey, look, if Witten only has maybe 1 or 2 more years left, he wants to get in the media, but Monday Night Football is one of the biggest stages in sports media. And so, you know, I don't blame him for wanting to pull the trigger and run. But it's how he did it. It's wait until the second day of the draft to do it. Because if they were
screwed your team over,
if they were this close to making a deal, he could have brought it up to Jerry Jones. Hey, look, ESPN is coming at me with this. You know, I only probably got a year left. If it becomes final, I might be interested in taking it. Give the Dallas Cowboys a chance to get your replacement.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so I thought it was terrible. Witten is the poster boy of like the goody two shoes in the NFL. He is everything that you could ever want your players on your team to be, but he really was not a leader and really did not do right by the team in this decision. I think he should have had. I think he should have let the Cowboys know that this would have been a possibility.
Yeah, I agree.
Luckily, he did do it in the draft, so they were able to get a tight end. But, of course, the Eagles came in and really screwed them up. Let me ask you about that. So what'd you think of
Goddard?
No, the rant before Goddard was picked.
David Akers?
David Akers' rant, yeah.
I thought it was awesome.
How magnificent was that?
It was actually probably the best part of the draft.
Oh, it was hands down my favorite part.
Oh, it was hilarious. I wish we should have pulled that up. We should have had that ready and put that on the pod so people could listen to it that didn't get a chance to.
I'm gonna put it. It'll be at the. I will. And post production, I'm gonna put it at the end of the podcast. So if you didn't get to hear the David Akers rant, make sure you listen all the way to the end of the podcast because I'll put it at the end.
Yeah. For those that don't know who David Akers is, he's a former Eagles kicker, and he trolled the hell out of the Cowboys fans at the draft, and it was awesome.
So, I didn't get to really read into this. As someone told me, I kind of Googled it real quick. That kind of confirmed it, but I didn't go in depth. So, Dallas Goedert was named after the Dallas Cowboys.
Mm-hmm.
Because he's from Texas, right?
Dallas Goedert?
Yeah.
He's from South Dakota.
Originally, like family's from there?
Oh, I don't know about his family.
Born and raised?
He grew up in a small town in Britain, South Dakota, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Real small school.
Well, hold on. I'm looking this up right now then because I got to know if this is true. Someone told me that Dallas Goedert was named after the Dallas Cowboys and that he was – yeah, you're right. He's from Britain, South Dakota. You're absolutely right.
Dude, Dude, when trust me, when somebody from South Dakota is good at athletics, everybody knows who he is.
All right, well, Wikipedia doesn't say about his name, so we're just going to assume that it's correct, that his parents were diehard Cowboys fans and named him after the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah, I honestly don't know that for sure, but that very well could be a possibility.
And that he was super excited, thinking he was getting ready to go to the Cowboys. The Eagles came in and took him, so he will now be a Philadelphia Eagle. I just think it's magical. I think it's troll job times a million.
Just trading up and taking the player that the Cowboys probably would have selected is that's the ultimate troll job.
Yeah. And then I loved how it was, the last time y'all won a championship, these players weren't even born. Loved it. Thought it was hilarious. Cowboys fans, a lot of y'all do listen. Don't hate me for that, but it was funny.
Oh, it was hilarious.
I'm going to put it at the end of the draft. So Jason Witten is my loser. All right, so who's your last loser?
Don't hate me for this, Chris.
Don't. All right, so my next loser is.
I want to talk about it. Chris's Saints were my third loser, and I do want to talk about it. I want to see what he's got to say. But, okay, don't get me wrong with this. I think Marcus Davenport is a terrific player. I really like him. But I'm not all about trading away 2 first-round picks to move up and get an edge guy.
First, can we get through fans' heads that, yes, they gave away 2 first-round picks?
Yeah.
Fans keep coming at me on Twitter saying, no, they only gave up next year's first and they used this year's first to get him. No, they gave away the 27th pick and next year's first pick to get Marcus Davenport.
Yeah.
That is a trade. They gave away 2 firsts. Yes, they did. Don't argue with me.
Well, there was something else too, wasn't there?
And a 5th, but the 5th
and a 5th.
And the 5th, look, the 5th is a wash because the 5th came from the Miami Dolphins when we traded away Stephon Anthony. Stephon Anthony, they were going to cut.
You guys got a 5th for Stephon Anthony.
Yeah, they made it.
That's a steal.
They made it known that they were going to cut him, and then Miami's like, "Hey, we'll give you a 5th for him," and he didn't play for Miami. And New Orleans was like, "Okay, we'll take the 5th because we were just going to cut this guy."
Those poor Dolphins are always getting taken advantage of.
So that they were never supposed to have that 5th round pick anyway. So yeah, we're not even going to count that. But yes, they gave up 2 firsts for Marcus Davenport. Don't argue with me on basic mathematics.
Yeah, but that was my first argument for that. I think Traquan Smith I think he has a chance to be a good wide receiver, especially in that offense with Drew Brees. I don't necessarily like the value of how high they drafted him, but I think he is going to be an okay player. The 3rd pick, and I know I texted you about this when it happened. Tackle Rick Leonard. I haven't watched any film at him at all. I didn't even have him on my board, my top 300 board. That was a massive reach. I think it was it 4th round?
3rd round.
Third round? Third or 4th round.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was a massive reach. From what I read from some articles online, I think he does have some upside, and they could mold him into a good player down the road. And we've talked about this too. We have no idea how these players are going to pan out. They could end up all being really, really good, but just from a value standpoint, from how they were graded out and where they were selected, it's just why I think it was a poor pick. And then they went ahead and got the defensive back from Wisconsin, Detrell Jamerson, and Cameron Moore, and I didn't have either of those guys on my board either. So I just thought their next 3 picks, I thought those are just all pretty poor. Honestly, I think your second best pick behind Marcus Davenport was the center out of Louisiana State, Will Clapp. I think he's going to be really good, and a lot of people don't talk about him enough, and I'm shocked that he didn't go earlier.
So Saints fans, y'all can take a breath. The Saints do not hate LSU. The drought is over. 10 years without drafting an LSU player. Oh, it's a thing down here.
Oh, that's a thing.
It's a thing. Saints fans think that Sean Payton and Mickey Loomis hate the Saints or
really?
hate LSU.
Isn't Marcus Davenport from Louisiana?
Yeah, he's from New Orleans. Yeah.
Oh, he is from New Orleans. Oh,
yeah,
cool.
Yeah. So, all right. So let me break down everything. So to make fans feel better about Marcus Davenport, the Bucks came out and Jason Lynch said from the podium that had they not signed Jason Pierre-Paul, they would have most definitely moved up to get Marcus Davenport. That outside of Bradley Chubb, he was the best edge rusher in a draft class that literally had no good edge rushers.
Yeah, he has a lot of upside. But I
So
think the reason he was lower on some people's boards is because he didn't play against quality competition at Texas San Antonio.
yeah, so you can take solace in knowing that there are other teams that value Marcus Davenport just as highly as the Saints did. The Saints just are the ones that pulled the trigger. Um,
And
Now,
aren't you shocked the Packers didn't pick him?
a little bit actually,
See, like
but
that surprised me. I was like, it came up on the screen. It said Packers are trading with the Saints, and I was like, why would Green Bay not select one of the top pass rushers here?
yeah. So here's my assessment on what has become in Saints Twitter the most controversial pick. I think in the Sean Payton, Mickey Loomis era, and that is going to be the
Rick
pick
Leonard?
of Leonard, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so, I will say this: they did pass up on probably the
Tyrell Crosby.
third or fourth best edge rusher, who was an absolute steal by the Philadelphia Eagles, and Josh Sweat. That was a steal. They did pass up on him, but they had gotten Davenport, so that wasn't a need. Shaquem Griffin. Okay, I think he was probably could have been a better pick. And linebacker is a need for them, but they did sign Demario Davis, so yeah, was it really a need? Up in the air.
Safety?
They don't need a safety. They don't need. They have Marcus Williams, Von Bell, and they just brought in Kurt Coleman.
Dude, I'm gonna tell you right now, Kurt Coleman is trash.
Okay, well, they also have Von Bell, and here's the thing: what Kenny Vaccaro did. Kenny Vaccaro is still not signed, is he?
Nope, he is still a free agent. So is Eric Reed.
What Kenny Vaccaro did was he played down in the box. He was basically a slot corner. He was a slot corner, fourth linebacker. That's what he was. Okay, they got Patrick Robinson. They don't need another safety. So when you have a vision on a player, and everybody's like, oh well, they reached. How the hell do you know they reached if you didn't see their big board? You don't know where they had Leonard on their board. You don't know where other NFL teams, who, I hate to break this, I love doing mock drafts. They're fun and all, but there are people that work in the NFL as scouts who are the best of the best at what they do. They are better than all of us, and apparently the Saints scouts saw something in Leonard that made them value him highly. I will say this. They are not drafting a starter on the offensive line. They are drafting a sixth offensive lineman that can play if need be, and Leonard is capable of playing every single position on the offensive line. That's what they lost in Clemente. They didn't get that when they brought back Bushrod. Bushrod is going to probably be your sixth lineman in jumbo packages, but Bushrod is a tackle. He can't play guard. He can't play center.
He played guard at Miami.
He hasn't played guard his entire career, as a pro career.
Dude, I'm telling you, he was a guard.
I know what he was in college, but he hasn't played guard in 11 years.
No, I'm saying for the Dolphins.
Oh, he played guard from Miami.
He was their right guard last year. They're starting right guard.
Well, all right. Call me an idiot on that one then. But he's a tackle.
I think they had to move him inside though because he's getting old.
Yeah, he's a tackle. Look, here's the thing. Bushrod is old as crap. He's not as. I mean, it is what it is, right? They needed a guy to replace. They were replacing with this draft pick, Clemente. Okay, And Kellen Mente was someone that could play every position on the line. That's what they were drafting for, and that's what they feel like they got. So the fact that he can play every position on the line obviously made him more valuable than the guys that were left in the draft that were pure tackles or pure guards or pure centers. Because they didn't need a pure tackle, a pure guard, or a pure center. They needed someone versatile. Mm-hmm. Okay? And here's the thing with the Davenport pick, with all the picks put together, the Saints really had no dire needs. The biggest glaring need that this team had was an edge rusher opposite of Cam Jordan, and they addressed that in Davenport. That's it. They, everybody says, oh, well, they need a tight end. They need a tight end. Yeah, okay, they don't have the elite tight end like they've had in the past. They don't have the Jimmy Graham. They don't have the Jeremy Shockey. They don't have the Ben Watson of 3 years ago. And the Ben Watson of 3 years ago is not the Ben Watson they're going to get this year, just so we're clear.
I still think Ben Watson's a really good player, man.
I think he's a really good player. No, I think he's going to have a great year, but he's not going to have almost 1,000 yards and 10 touchdowns like he did 3 years ago.
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
I'll bet you.
What's that?
I'll bet you.
Okay, I mean,
if he's healthy, I bet you he has close to 1,000 yards, like 900.
I hope so. I hope so. But I mean, let's call a spade a spade. I mean, he's 30-something years old. He's getting old, But the team was not in a place where they had to draft need. They're solid. They are a solid football team. And so they were in a position that they've never been in the Sean Payton, Mickey Loomis era, where they could take risk. And if the risk pays off, they're going to be looked at as geniuses. Jeff Ireland will be looked at as a genius when you look at his 2016, 2017, and 2018 drafts. We'll come back and we'll be, God, those were the glory days of Saints drafting, right? If it doesn't work out, hey, they took some risk. You can call him stupid, but he still has the best draft class in NFL history under his belt from 2017. A really solid one in 2016 and a not too bad one in 2015. So the Saints were never going to draft a quarterback next year, which they just signed J.T. Barrett, which I don't think that's a quarterback of the future, but it's going to be a fun camp battle between him and Tom Savage and Taysom Hill on who's going to be the primary backup.
J.T. Barrett's garbage.
Yeah, but he's fun. He's kind of an exciting player. I'm kind of excited just for preseason. But they weren't going to draft a quarterback in the first round next year, right? They don't have they don't have any mega players that are in a contract year other than Mark Ingram, which I'm going to be shocked if they don't extend.
Getting close to his 30s.
He will be 30 at the end of this season. Yes, I want them to sign Mark Ingram because he's 2018 and 2019. If they're both solid seasons, he will own every Saints running back history record, and I want that for him. I want Mark Ingram to own every running back record there is. Mm-hmm. And so he needs a good, solid 18 and 19 to be able to do that. But I think they were in a position where they could make risks. They made risk. If they paid off, they pay off. Here's the thing. Everybody looks at the back half of a draft and think they're going to get the next Tom Brady, or think they're going to get the next Shannon Sharp, or think they're going to get the next Marcus Colston, right?
Brown.
What's that?
Antonio Brown,
Rodney Harrison, Zach Strief. Like these are great players that were day 3 picks, right? Mm-hmm. But there are few and far between. There's way more bust on day 3 than there are home runs. Just like, yes, there are busts in the first round. Jamarcus Russell,
Mhm.
and someone you could probably call Sam Bradford. Yes, there are busts in the first, but guess what? There's way more home runs in the first round than there are busts. And it's the opposite on the back half of the draft. So, day three people is a place where you can make a risk, you can take a player and hope for the best. So,
Right.
end of rant. I'm just tired of this has been it's all I've seen on Twitter for the last couple of days, and I'm not even engaging in it anymore.
It's the off season. It's the only thing fans got to talk about.
Yeah. So, all right. So this podcast is going a lot longer than I think either one of us expected it to, but it's fun. We're having a good time.
I knew I was going to get you riled up on that. I had to
Yeah.
get you to rant a little bit.
I'm sick as shit right now too. All right. So
I want to talk about our mock drafts. I know we said this on our last pod.
Loser.
Oh yeah. Okay. Go ahead. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
My last loser is the parrot of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Oh, Star Wars thing was better.
I was promised a talking parrot, and the parrot didn't talk. Can we agree that we need to just get rid of the goofy things like that? I don't need that in the draft. I don't need little kids calling out draft picks. If you got a Make-A-Wish Foundation kid.
Yeah, did you see they called into one pick and they were going to have a kid in the hospital, announced the pick and the camera didn't work.
Yeah, see,
that poor kid.
I don't need all of that. I don't need that. I don't need the parrot. I don't need all the goofy stuff. Just let Roger Goodell call the pick.
They're just trying to get the fans involved.
Yeah, but I'm over it. I don't like it. Let's not do it.
No.
So, all right. So those are our winners and losers. All right. So where we going with next?
Oh, I just wanted to talk about our mock drafts.
Oh,
Which one was the best? And yeah. Okay, so your best mock was last week's. Your mock draft 3.0.
Okay.
You had 2 players that you got right. Can you remember which ones they were?
Let's see. Saquon Barkley to the Giants.
Yep.
And that was an easy one. And Josh Allen to the Jets. Or Josh Allen to the
very good.
The
Bills.
The Bills.
Yeah, you got those 2 right.
Yeah.
I had 3. I had 3 players on my mock draft 3.0. I had Barkley to the Giants, DJ Moore to the Panthers, and Marcus Davenport to the Saints.
But you didn't have the Saints trading up to get him, did you?
No, but I did have that as the player. I was pretty jacked up about that. But yeah, don't read too much into that. Even like the real experts like Mel Kiper and Todd McShay, they're lucky if they get 5 players right. So it's fun. It was really fun 2 months.
What about the fans? How'd the fans mock draft go?
Oh, I think I deleted those already. I think the best one, there was like 1 player, and I think it was Barkley.
Hold on, I still have them. Let's look at
Max.
Yeah, let's look at I'm pulling it up.
I don't
right
think
now.
there was more than 1.
I'm pulling up Fans Mock 3.0. All right, so Fans Mock 3.0. Oh, that's 2.0. What the hell? There it is. Fans Mock 3.0. They had Sam Darnold. They had Saquon Barkley. Baker Mayfield to the Jets. Bradley Chubb. Rosen.
I think the Chubb.
Quentin Nelson. They had Quentin Nelson to the Colts.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So there's 2. They had Derwin James. They had Tremaine Edmonds. Where did he go?
He went to Buffalo.
Buffalo, that's right. Roquan Smith, Minka Fitzpatrick, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Denzel Ward, Harold Landry. Where'd Harold Landry go?
Oh, he got picked in the 2nd round.
Yeah, that's right. Okay.
I can't remember even who it was by, to be honest with you.
DJ Moore, Vita Vea, Josh Jackson, Cortland Sutton. Where'd Cortland Sutton go?
He got picked in the 2nd round of the Broncos.
Okay. Darius Geis, Isaiah Wynn, Rashawn Evans, Mike Hughes, Justin Reed,
So I got 2.
Marcus Davenport, Maurice Hurst, Sam Hubbard, Leighton Vander Esch, Will Hernandez, Mike McGlinchey, Mason Rudolph, and Dallas Goddard. Or no, J.R. Alexander. Yep, so they had 2. So fans had 2, I had 2, and you had 3.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
It's not bad, actually, for an interactive mock.
Anything else on the draft that you want to mention?
Do we got any stats on how many punters and kickers got picked this year compared to years of past? It was nuts. I think there were like 5 punters selected.
Yeah, and I didn't look all that up. I told you I'm sick.
It was crazy. Okay. I have 2 questions for you. Just off the top of your mind, I'm going to ask you, who got the steal of the first round? Who had the best pick?
The New York Jets with Sam Darnold.
I think that's the one that's going to push that team over the hump, huh?
Yeah.
Mine was Quentin Nelson. I thought the Colts getting Quentin Nelson at 7 was just, or wait, was it 6? Yeah, 6. 6 was just terrific. I think he's going to be a perennial offensive lineman for a long time. Yeah. And I'm really hoping Andrew Luck can come back and play because I think they did a good job of addressing the line.
All right, so you asked about Patriots trades. Are you ready for this?
Yeah.
Pre-draft, they received a first from the Rams and a second from the 49ers for Brandon Cooks and Jimmy Garoppolo. They gave up a 4th to the Eagles for Eric Rowe, a 5th to the Oakland Raiders for Cordell Patterson, a 5th to the Seahawks for Cassius Marsh, a 6th to the Cleveland Browns for Jason McCourty, a 7th to the Cincinnati Bengals for Marquise Flowers. They received a 7th from the Seattle Seahawks for Justin Coleman, and they gave up a 2019 3rd to the Cleveland Browns for Danny Shelton. So those were their pre-draft trades.
So it was like 10.
So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. All right.
9 pre-draft trades.
In draft, they traded with the San Francisco 49ers. Gave up a 5th round pick. And for, hold on, wait. No, they received a 5th round pick and Trent Brown from the San Francisco 49ers while giving up a 3rd round pick. They received a 2nd round pick from the Lions and gave up a 2nd and a 4th. They traded back up into the 2nd round. They received another 2nd round pick, 51st overall, gave up a 4th and a 2019 2nd from the Chicago Bears. They gave up the 56th overall pick in the 2nd round and traded that to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to get the 63rd overall pick and a 4th round pick. Then they traded with the Browns. They got a 4th round pick and gave 4th round pick 105. They gave up 4th round pick 114 and 6th round pick 178. They traded again with the Lions. They got a 4th round pick 114 and gave up a 2019 3rd round pick. They traded again with the Kansas City Chiefs, got a 6th round pick, pick 198, gave up their 7th round, 2 7th round picks, 233 and 243.
Nuts.
Hold on. And then the Eagles acquired the 233rd pick from the New England Patriots in exchange for the 250th pick and a 2019 7th round pick. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 in draft trades.
Yeah, Bill's phone was busy.
Along with 9 pre-draft trades for a total of 18 trades in the 2018 draft.
That's nuts, dude.
So, anyways, well, we're going to go ahead and end the podcast. Are you cool with that?
I just want to talk about some new stuff.
Oh, yeah. Do the news.
All right. Are you ready for this, Chris?
I'm ready.
Reuben Foster's girlfriend testified in court, said she lied.
Oh, yeah, I heard about
the incident.
Yeah.
She lied about the incident, saying that Reuben Foster dragged her out of the house by her hair and punched her in the face. That is just like such a cruel thing to do. Steelers traded wide receiver Dez Bryant to the Raiders for pick number 79 in this year's draft. I think that's an excellent pickup by the Raiders.
Yeah, me too.
The 49ers traded tackle Trent Bond to the Patriots. It was rumored that he showed up to offseason organized team activities weighing about 400 pounds, so he was extremely out of shape. The Seahawks re-signed cornerback Byron Maxwell to a 1-year deal. It's giving them some insurance in their secondary. The Rams traded wide receiver Tavon Austin to the Cowboys, who plan on moving him to a running back. What do you think about that?
What's that?
Tavon Austin getting traded to the Cowboys, and he's playing running back now.
Yeah, I don't like that one.
That's nuts. In return, the Cowboys made a trade to the Raiders. They traded wide receiver Ryan Switzer, who was a pick in last year's draft, in exchange for defensive tackle Jihad Ward. The Vikings re-signed cornerback Terrence Newman to a 1-year deal yesterday. He will be the oldest active defender in the league this season, 40 years old, and he says that regardless of what happens in this upcoming season, it will be his last. The Eagles signed wide receiver Marcus Wheaton today to a 1-year deal. The 5th-year option deadline is tomorrow for teams. There are a lot of players that had their options picked up, a few notable players that didn't have their options picked up who will be pending free agents next offseason is defensive end Dante Fowler in Jacksonville. That was probably the most notable one. Wide receiver Kevin White in Chicago. Wide receiver Brashad Perryman in Baltimore. And the Broncos declined Shane Ray's 5th-year option, the edge rusher. Before we hopped on the pod, linebacker Jarrell Freeman announced his retirement after 7 NFL seasons. And I guess I'd just like to close out asking you, what's going to happen with Dez Bryant? I saw something today that I can't remember. I think it might have been Ian Rappaport. They said something that they were talking to numerous NFL teams, and he heard that nobody's even inquiring about Dez, that nobody's willing to pay him what he wants. I mean, I think he'll go to a team eventually. Somebody's going to get hurt, but do you think he's going to get picked up before training camp starts?
I was shocked he didn't get picked up before the draft. So no, I don't think he'll. I think he will be a once we're in training camp and we kind of see what we got. Oh crap, we need to go get Dez Bryant pickup.
I mean, there's some really good free agent wide receivers on the market yet. Dez Bryant's obviously the best, but Jeremy Maclin is still on the market, and Brandon Marshall got cut too by the Giants. So there's some good players out there yet.
I still can't believe Kenny Vaccaro isn't signed. That's blowing my mind.
Yeah, I thought he'd be one of the first safeties off the market.
Yeah, so that's interesting.
That's all I got for news, man.
All right, well, we're gonna go ahead and end the podcast because I'm sick. I'm sick as crap. But we're going to have more draft talk, more draft recap next week. So y'all aren't going to want to miss next week's show. I'm going to put the David Akers rant at the end of this podcast. So with all that said, Thank you guys for listening. You can check us out on Facebook and Twitter. If you're not following us already, God, you need to be. There's a lot of you that listen to this. Follow us at All Pro Nation. If you really love us, you can go to the iTunes store and you can give us a 5-star review. Tell everybody how much you love the All Pro Nation podcast.
Pretty please.
Yeah, pretty please. If you really love us, then you can go to allpronation.com where fans have a voice and you can donate to the podcast. You can follow me on Twitter at 318 Chris Smith, and you can follow Tanner as always at purple_post. And I think that's going to wrap us up for the day. So appreciate y'all for listening, and we will see y'all next week. Peace out.
Peace.
Oh, you took the piece away from me this week. I like that.
On Fox and NFL Network, very keen to see what his favorite football team is up to. The defending champion Philadelphia Eagles are about to make a pick.
Of champions.
Aha!
Villanova, Jay Wright, City of champions.
And the Sixers have already moved on in the NBA
Philly's
playoffs.
playing well.
I'm sure Steeler fans would want to point out about the Penguins, but that's okay. Here we go right now. We got a kicker with a pick.
The Indianapolis Colts have traded their 49th pick to the Philadelphia Eagles. To announce the Philadelphia Eagles selection, please welcome from the University of Louisville, kicker David Akers. What's up, Dallas?
Kickers trolling the Cowboys.
Last year. I like standing up here before you as an undrafted free agent, representing that shield for 15 years. Tonight, I'm representing the Philadelphia Eagles, NFC East champs, divisional champs, NFC champs, and world champs. The world champs. Hey, Dallas, the last time you were in the Super Bowl, these draft picks weren't born. Tonight, we are welcomed into the Eagles
Look at Doug
family
Peterson.
with the 49th pick in the 2018 draft. The NFL would like to represent the Philadelphia Eagles, Dallas Goddard.
Oh!
He is the tight end from South Dakota State. Go Birds!
Go, Todd David Akers.